I've been doing art for 10 years now, and honestly, I never expected that art would ever be such a big part of my life. So today, I'm going to be going over some of the biggest things I've learned from being an artist. Today is going to be a bit of a different video. Let's see how this plays out. But before I get into it, I kind of wanted to spend some time talking about this drawing that I'm making. Lately, I've been inspired because The Strokes are finally releasing a new album after what seems like so long. And one lyric from their song Going Shopping inspired me to draw this piece you're watching. It's a little random, but one part of it kind of talks about seeing your future wife going shopping. And I just thought it was a great opportunity to draw my wife along with her childhood pets. So, being an artist. Growing up, I never considered myself to be an artsy kid. It was more my younger sister who was constantly drawing. She would spend most of her time just drawing doodles and making little sketches on her little books and journals, while I was on the other side too busy being a gamer. But yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I don't know why I never really considered getting into art. Sometimes my sister and I would have like little games we can play together that involves drawing. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, but by the end of it, I just never took it seriously, and something about it just didn't appeal to me. Probably because I knew in my heart it wasn't my thing. You know, the drawing and artsy thing is my sister's thing. Or I just thought I was never gonna catch up to her level or be as good as she was at the time. Because, you know, these 70-year-olds are really advanced in their technique. But one year in my junior year of high school, I was assigned to take an art class. And boy, did that spark something inside me I didn't know could ignite. I got to learn so many ways to draw using different mediums like charcoal, paints, pastels. Boy, I hope that I use these skills for the greater good. Overall, I really enjoyed the class. It got me to learn so many new things, and I was really appreciating for what art was. I was starting to get a better grasp why so many people like doing this. But during the finals for this class, it's what really inspired me to keep pursuing it after junior year of high school. The assignment was literally to do whatever we wanted, as long as we just had fun and apply some of the things that we learned. With that being said, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a comic. Before I got into art, I was more interested in writing stories. No, I wasn't good at it. I just did stupid things and just shared them with my friends. It was a nice little activity for me to do, and I got to make a few of my friends laugh. At a very young age, I knew I wanted to do something that involved storytelling, which is like writing movies or TV shows. Although when I was younger, I wanted to do a lot of things, but you know, there was just too much for me to focus on. I was very ambitious. My wife and I made a video about it. Feel free to check that out after this one. But anyway, amongst the other things, I wanted to do writing, but not exactly sure how to tell stories or what direction I wanted to take. So I figured making a comic for this project would be a great chance for me to test that out. My art teacher was such an awesome person. She was so happy that I would be doing a comic since she never sees students make comics for their assignments. My art teacher was probably more excited than I was over this assignment. She was so happy about it that she was willing to buy special paper meant for comic pages. When she told me that she used her own personal allowance to pay for this, which is crazy because you know how these teachers be getting paid. I didn't even know there was such thing as comic paper. I was just ready to steal paper from the school library and use that. But yeah, I'm very thankful for this art teacher. She was amazing for helping me out with getting to know art as a whole, and also for helping me find a whole new passion. I think she did enjoy my comic that I made for the final. I can't exactly remember what she said about it, but I think she liked it. I still have the comic to this day. I'll put it up screen if I remember. And from then on, I knew this is what I kind of wanted to do. Just have fun drawing and make little comics of things. But anyway, those are what kind of kicked things off for me as an artist, and I was quick to find out that there was a lot of things that I still don't know, and I needed to improve my art over time. So what were some of the things that I learned over the years? Well, there's a lot of things, but I'm just gonna break it down to like 4 things. Hopefully these will help you improve your art as well and learn something out of it. I won't be going into like, how to draw heads or how to do foreshortening kind of thing. It's just more like mindsets and little practical things that helped me to kind of have a better mindset with art overall. Okay, so one of the things that I learned over the years is that I had to learn to set the right goals. If you've been an artist for a little while or starting to get into it, one things that you'll always see is like, how do I get better at drawing? And it kind of varies, but one of the common advices that you'll most likely hear is to get better at drawing is to just draw. And that's it. In a sense, not wrong, but it's also not clear. Like, what does that mean? So one thing that helped me get better at drawing is to be specific in your goals. So what are you hoping to accomplish with this skill of making art? Do you want to use the skill in hopes to become an animator, make cartoons and shows? Or do you want to use this skill to just make pretty illustrations? Both are great goals to accomplish, but each one requires different ways to achieve that goal. It just depends on what you want to do and what will help you get there. Let's take the idea of becoming an animator as an example. So if you want to become an animator, you have to focus your drawing practices on skills that support that goal. On a basic understanding, one of the important skills that an animator needs to have is learning how to draw people. It's important to focus things like proportions, but don't just study on proportions. There are other things that also take into account when drawing people. For example, practice movement. Animation is all about movement, and the more you get to practice that, the easier it is for you to get an understanding of it. So practicing gesture drawings can be very beneficial. And of course, perspective. You're going to be drawing so many different characters and different angles and twists, and it gets complicating. So getting to learn how to draw humans with perspective can also help come a long way. Now there's a lot of different artists that take place when it comes to animation. So depending on the type of animation you want to do and what you want to focus on can vary on the skills you need to work on. But knowing your goals helps you guide your practice and what to look for. For me, I wanted to improve my storytelling through art, since in the long run that's what interests me. To me, I feel that telling a story through drawings will convey my thoughts and creativity better than just writing it. In short, figure out what you want to use your skills for and practice the things that help you to get there. Over time, you will naturally grow into other areas in art too. Which leads to the next point that I wanted to make. And that point is that art is hard and it really takes a lot of practice. Some days, art is really going to test you in ways that you never expected. Like learning to be patient with yourself, dealing with your own negative thoughts, and learning how to take criticism. In college, I was still in the early stages of drawing, and college made that obvious. I had a professor who did not hold back any punches towards my work. You know, my dog draws better than you. Yeah, no one likes to hear that about their work, but that professor made me push myself to do better, and later on, his critiques became more positive, sometimes. Now obviously, becoming an amateur to a professional didn't happen overnight. I wouldn't consider myself to be a professional now, but still, just to get to this point, it took a lot of time for me to start seeing little improvements. And during that time, someone might come up to you and say something potentially negative about your work. If that ever happens, don't take it personally. Let that be an opportunity to practice on when you need improvement. Unless the criticism is someone saying that, hey, I can do it better. Yeah, you can just ignore those guys. No one cares what they say. So the next thing that I've come to learn is to have a balanced mindset towards comparing your work with others and dealing with your insecurities. Earlier I was mentioning about dealing with negative thoughts. Yeah, this one was a big one because it's easy to compare your work with others. Without a balanced mindset, comparison can leave you feeling discouraged instead of motivated. And when I say a balanced mindset, I mean using other people's work as inspiration and motivation to learn and improve your own skills. For example, my wife and sister have been drawing for such a long time, and it shows in their work. As someone who started years after them, it would have been easy for me to feel unmotivated and even quit seeing my art next to these two. But I didn't allow my feelings to play out that way. Instead, I can say that my wife and my sister have been a huge motivation for me to get better. I was so fascinated by their abilities that I wanted to be like them. So that's what I strive to do. I wanted to practice more and more so that way I was able to catch up and be at their level. So having a balanced mindset when comparing your work with others can be beneficial, but honestly, this is something I struggle with to this day. Sometimes I get fixated on making a drawing look just right because the post I saw on Instagram made theirs just right and perfect, so I just try to copy that and spend too much wasted time on making it look perfect. Or I feel disappointed in the final piece I did because it didn't live up to my expectation. Then I just feel disappointed and frustrated that I spent so much time working on this piece, and I have that mindset where I'm like, am I really a good artist? I don't know. After all these years, probably not. Even as I was doing this piece right here, there was a lot of things that I was kind of frustrated on and try to wrap my brain around. But if I just focus on what my negative thoughts are trying to say, then at that point I'm missing the whole point of what makes art, which is to enjoy the process itself and feel happy with creating. Even if your art doesn't, air quotes, look good, sometimes we just need to make art for the sake of making art. Enjoyment. Who cares what it looks like in the end? And of course, we all want to make great art, but as I mentioned earlier, art is hard and it will take a lot of time and practice to get better at it. To some, that might be a hard pill to swallow, especially when so many artists are striving to get better faster, me included. We have so many videos available to us online that help us to get better faster, which is a good thing. But sometimes our improvements aren't always noticeable as soon as we hope for. You follow this tutorial on how to draw a horse, and then once you finish through the tutorial, you drew something that kind of looks like a horse. All that effort just so that we can come up with something that barely resembles what we're learning. Then we fall into that negative mindset that we are not making enough progress as we hoped for, which isn't true. We tend to forget that the very act of learning something new contributes to improving our artwork in the future. Your first attempt to draw that horse in that first tutorial didn't turn out great, but now you have a better understanding on what to do next time. Which leads to my final point: experiment. Like this time lapse, I wanted to make a piece that I thought would be fun and help me push myself at the same time. This is probably the first time I made a drawing using this perspective on characters. Normally, I would just draw characters face forward, nothing too special. During this time lapse, you probably noticed I struggled with various things, even though I have a basic understanding of perspective. But because I hardly draw characters in these poses, I learned areas where I can improve, and I will try to practice them more in the future. And you can do the same thing. Experiment with things that you hardly do and things that you're uncomfortable with. Experimenting with different ideas and mediums will broaden your horizon. It takes a little effort, but you might fall in love with something new. And if not, at least you can say you tried it. So, this is a smidge of what I learned over the years. I know I still have a lot more to learn, but I think that's what makes art so exciting to me. There's always something new to improve, experiment with, and figure out. My random experiment with drawing comics in high school ended up having a major impact on my life and interests. Sure, art can be a struggle, but honestly, I wouldn't want it any other way. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then please consider liking and subscribing and leaving a comment or two about some of your experiences with art in your art journey. I hope this video was helpful in getting to progress in your art journey. Let me know if you guys want to see more things like this. I might even consider doing like a sketchbook tour on my old drawings. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll get to cringe together on them. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.